Welcome to the October edition of North St. Paul Notes. I'm your host, Paul Anderson. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to bring you our show from the Friday Night History Cruisers car show in downtown North St. Paul. We'll learn about the car show as well as a new local ice cream business and the downtown revitalization project. Stay tuned. North St. Paul Notes is straight ahead.
Perfect night it turned into.
Thanks to tell the way I feel. So I told her softly and sincere. She leaned and whispered in my ear. Her and more drive was slow. No particular place to go. Place to go. Walked way out in the Kokomo. Night was young, the moon was gold. Both decided to take a stroll. You imagine the way I felt. Couldn't unfasten the safety belt. Riding along in my calaboose.
Hello and welcome to the October edition of North St. Paul Notes. We hope this show will keep you up to date on the news and events that are of interest to the residents of North St. Paul. We're bringing you this month's show from the Friday Night History Cruisers car show in downtown North St. Paul. My first guests today are Paul Hulliston, who is the car show coordinator, and Susanna Gorodischer, who is the owner of Love Ice Cream. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, Paul has been on the show a number of times before. Susanna, this is the first time.
My first time.
And actually, this was the first time to be a witness to the History Cruisers car show.
That's right.
And I was just a little curious before we start, how has it worked for you, for your business?
It's been a wonderful summer. It has been a wonderful summer. Everything from the throwbacks of my childhood, seeing these wonderful cars out in front of our place and up and down 7th Avenue, throwing me back to when I was a little girl.
Yep.
My grandfather's DeSoto that he used to drive, and my father's Pontiac Le Mans that he used to fix every Sunday night with a flashlight at dark. But all the wonderful folks coming into the shop, it's just been great fun.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad it worked out for you, and I think it has for a lot of businesses in town that perhaps were a little skeptical when the shows first started, wouldn't you say, Paul?
Well, some were, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a big undertaking.
It was, yeah.
Block the street off, and
Sure.
how are people going to get to my store?
That's right. I used to hear those comments, and now things have miraculously turned around.
Well, pretty much. I don't know if it's a miracle or not.
Well,
but people see the benefit.
yeah, I think that's true. And the city has certainly seen the benefit of the show.
Yeah, it's a process. We have a working agreement with the city, and we try to incorporate people and get people involved.
Sure.
And let them know. A new business comes to town. We want to let them know what's going on if they're not aware of it, because it could be a shock to them. And, what's all this going on?
That's right. And if it wasn't for the car show, why, this would be a pretty quiet spot right now.
Yeah, well,
which it isn't now.
No, it's not too quiet right now.
No, for sure. Give me a little I know some of the history of the car show, how it got started. Can you just give us a little rundown on how the program started?
Well, John Pontrelli owned Max Dinette
Right.
at the time, and John's a car guy, and he was putting car shows on for the old Crazy Days on Saturday afternoons, and got the idea, let's do this on Friday night.
Sure.
And of course, so he could sell more hamburgers.
Yeah,
You know, it's
right.
the idea. It started out very small. The first few shows, maybe 30 cars,
30?
you know,
Okay.
and it took off. I mean, it just got bigger and got bigger and got bigger. And
How many do you see now?
cars?
Yeah.
Well, we used to count them, but we don't anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I would say on any given night, it's between 800 and 1,000.
Is that right?
We've had nights where there's been many more than that here,
right?
but tonight we have quite a few cars here,
Yeah.
a lot of people here, but there's no way to count. There's
Yeah.
no way to know.
Well, Susanna, you may not realize it, but Paul is kind of the gatekeeper down at First Street. He's the one who lets the cars in or
Gotcha.
or sends them a different direction. So
Right, yeah,
he's-
now I'm on the other end, so I
yeah,
didn't
right,
know.
Yeah. So his job is pretty important, and a lot of people don't see him as a result. Maybe that's the way you prefer it. So
Well, I'm hard to miss.
yeah, well, yeah, right. I know. Anyway, as far as your business is concerned, Susanna, can you give us an idea of what you have, what you do, and how you got
Yes.
started? And
Yeah, well, we are right now the Twin Cities' first sugar-free cafe. We make treats without sugar. We use only all natural and organic herbs, roots, plants, fibers to help sweeten our products. Our little business started 3.5 years ago from a desire to have treats that weren't going to make us sick. My husband was diagnosed with a pre-diabetes condition and had been taking blood pressure pills for 5 years. And one day on Valentine's Day, I approached him with a box of chocolates and realized that his tummy had gotten out to here and he couldn't balance his laptop anymore, and it was like teetering on his knees. I've been in the health and wellness business for about 15 years and realized that he was really in no condition to receive this box of chocolates I was walking
Right.
to him, with for Valentine's Day. So I had a little heart-to-heart intervention with him, cut him off sugar, and he did great. But after 4 months, he said, if you think I'm going to live a life of kale, this will never work. I need my ice cream, I need my chocolates. And he's a research scientist, I'm a nutrition and fitness expert, so we put our minds together and worked diligently in my home kitchen to come up with some recipes that worked. And after feeding our friends for a number of months, I got tired of feeding them, and they encouraged us to start our own business, and that was 3.5 years ago.
Right.
And our business caters to the wholesale side of things. We are thrilled to have found this charming building right here in North St. Paul. The city has been so wonderful in accepting our wholesale business and encouraging us to open up a little cafe up front. So we did this early this summer, 3 months ago, on June 2nd was our first day in operation of our little Love Cafe kind of annex. And it's been just great fun getting to know the community, getting to know all the folks coming in on Friday nights, and has actually even helped our wholesale business because I got a phone call from the Cambridge Co-op, which is a big market for us. We sell to most of the co-ops around the Twin Cities. And the co-op up in Cambridge gave us a call because someone on a Friday night who was here at the car show lives in Cambridge, and that's her home co-op, and she requested that our products be brought into the Cambridge Co-op. So we're developing that new business with that new store too. So it's been great.
So the wholesale business is a major part of the operation then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We are a manufacturer. So we sell to all the Hy-Vee stores in the Twin Cities have taken on our products lines, not only our frozen desserts, our organic milk and cream ice creams, our vegan ice creams made with coconut milk, but they also have taken on our full line of chocolates. We make 11 different flavors of chocolate bars, we make baking chocolate chunks, and we make little hard candies, which we're now exporting to Europe, which we're really excited about.
Sure.
And we sell our own bags of sugar replacement that we call Sweet Love. Yeah.
Well, before you came, I couldn't imagine having ice cream without sugar, but that's an old habit, I guess.
Yeah. If I didn't tell you, you would never know.
I know. I know. Well, it's great that you're doing well with the business, and it's kind of nice to see that connection with the car show too. That
Absolutely.
a lot of people don't hear about. So
Right.
Well, Paul, I know that you have to get going pretty soon. You've got your job going on without you, and so there's probably a lot of people slipping by right now that shouldn't be even coming by us here.
Well, I'm sure that, somebody's holding the fort down.
You've got some guys working there, but you're afraid to lose your job. That's what the
Yeah.
problem is. But this is the last day for the car show. Is that something that you're happy about, or is that something that you wish could continue for a longer time?
Well, this season went really fast for all of us for some reason.
Yeah.
Everybody I've talked to said they couldn't believe how fast this summer went by. Normally, when we're about 3/4 of the way through, it's like, how many more of these do we have to do?
Yeah.
But it went quick this year. Usually what happens is you decompress for about 3 weeks and then you start to miss it already.
Oh, you do,
So,
yeah.
but it's almost a 12-month thing for me now. We negotiate with the city, and
Sure.
there's lots of different programs and special events and things that we have to take care of over the course of the winter, and to try and put on a good show and try to keep it fresh.
Do you feel that this is right now is the largest show in the Twin Cities area, or what do you think? What do you
I think it's the largest weekly show in the
Okay.
Twin Cities, but there aren't that many weekly shows in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
How we rank with everybody else, I don't know, and it's not a big concern to me, to be honest with you. We're just trying to put on a good, safe show.
Yeah, you've got enough things to worry about without worrying about what everyone else is doing.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
I can understand that. So next summer again, you'll be starting in what month?
We start the first Friday in June,
First Friday. Okay.
and then we go 16 consecutive weeks from there. That's
Okay.
been the formula for a lot of years now, and
Okay.
that's what we're going to ask the city for. Jason's given me the look over there, so
I see.
let's see how it.
So
But we try to just keep that consistent.
sure.
It just seems to work out better that
Yeah,
way.
I understand. That's right. Well, I hope that you didn't miss too much tonight, because we needed to have you on tonight to finish up the season, just
Well,
like we started the season.
No, that's not a problem. I'll get the look from the guys when I get back down
I'm
there.
sure
but
you will.
that's- yeah.
Susanna, you didn't mention anything about your location. So
We bought, for the local folks, they'll know our place as Harry Finkelstein's Rexall Drugstore.
right.
Harry Finkelstein sold it to Frank and Martha, who had it as the North St. Paul Furniture Store.
Right.
And now we are the proud third owners in the past 60 years. We're at 2587 7th Avenue North, and we're on the east side of town. We share the parking lot with Sandberg's Funeral Home.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've done a lot to that building.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun restoring it, and I'm just going to give a really quick plug. Our next phase of restoration will be hopefully hosting a community art project to do a beautiful mural on the east side of our building. The
blank wall.
The blank, ugly cinder block wall.
Yeah.
That's our next phase. We've kind of had a 4-phase attack of our building, and this is phase 3. We have yet another phase, but
Yeah.
but it's coming right along. We restored the vintage sign that's on the rooftop.
Yeah, I
that's
noticed that. That's
60
beautiful.
years old this year.
Yeah, that's great.
So we had professional vintage sign restoration place in Minneapolis
I see.
redo it for us with beautiful pink neon tubing that says love. We've done planters and climbing vines and a little patio up front.
Yeah, I congratulate you on the way you've made the building look. It looks
Thank you.
much more attractive
you.
now, and it's a good addition to the downtown
It's an act of
area.
love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. Isn't
Yep.
it? So there's a reason for it.
That's
that
right.
name, right?
That's right.
Right. Okay. Well, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back to learn about the downtown revitalization project from our city manager and one of our city council members. I want to thank both of you for appearing, Susanna and Paul, and good luck in the coming years.
Thank you, and thanks to the city, and thanks for the car show. It's been a tremendous help to our business. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Paul.
it.
Thank you.
And we'd like to, on behalf of the History Cruisers, say thank you to the city. Without them, we just couldn't be doing what we're doing here, obviously. And I'm glad that everything's working out.
Yeah, very nicely.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay. Welcome back to North St. Paul Notes from the Friday Night Car Show in downtown North St. Paul. I'm now joined by City Manager Jason Zemer and City Council Member Terry Furlong to talk about the downtown revitalization project. Welcome, gentlemen. We may have talked about this before, Jason. I'm not sure, but we touched on it. But it's been a program that's been in effect or been in operation for a while now. And can you tell us a little bit about how this got started and why it got started?
On the downtown revitalization work that the city's been engaged with, there's been a lot of conversations over the years about the future of downtown and what it looks like. I know the city council's been engaged in some of those conversations. It's been a question mark or a concern in terms of what the future holds and what it looks like, and I think there's been also some things that we need to do some improvements down here, whether short term or long term. And so talking with the council, I think it was 2014, we first started kind of approaching the subject about starting a little bit of a process to try and get some feedback and some public input on what that looked like. And last April 2015, we kind of launched the project. We've had a series of community open houses, resident input. We visited with the business owners at various that are in the downtown at various points and times throughout the year. It's really kind of about trying to figure out what the future looks like or what it should look like in downtown, and how we're going to address some of the things that we have to address down here. But really, it's talking about the long-term future investment of the community and downtown, which is a very critical part of North St. Paul. It's one of those iconic images of the community, and the one thing that people often talk a lot about, positively about the past, and how do we preserve what's here today into the future. And as you can see around us, the car show, it's the one thing that really draws people into the community, because it's kind of got this really unique, the way it's laid out, and it works perfectly for the car show, and we want to make it work perfectly for the future of the community too, for businesses as well.
I think we've also always been known by many people passing through for the snowman, but now it's also the car show that becomes part of the attraction. So I think it's been a good thing in that way too.
Just a big shout out to Paul Hulstead and the History Cruisers.
Right.
This is what revitalization's all about, is the people behind you, and it's a beautiful night, and you can come downtown, you can walk around, and this is kind of what our vision is to not only be Friday night, but there might be some other nights where you get a lot of people down here. The revitalization part is part of that plan.
Yeah,
So.
and it involves more than just one event, but the one event, I think, brings to mind a lot of issues that exist in the downtown,
Right.
such as the sidewalk condition and the street condition, and it's sometimes hazardous for people to walk when they have surfaces that are uneven and so on.
There's a lot of cities that really want a downtown.
Right.
They don't have them.
I know.
Cities surrounding us don't have the downtowns, and
We have it here.
That's right.
so we want to maintain that and make sure that, like you say, it's a part of our culture here,
And
is
our
downtown
history.
and our history, right?
Right.
And I, and echoing on that too, like Terry said, other cities don't have it, so it's a perfect opportunity for us to create this as a niche and a destination place for people to want to come to, whether it's a car show or other community events, or come to a business. The one aspect that an event like this provides, and if we can stabilize that with kind of that revitalization piece to the sidewalks and the streets, and really kind of build that image, it's just going to continue to attract more things and give more people a reason to come back into downtown and kind of rediscover North St. Paul and what it has to offer.
Yeah. So we're getting a good example of what's going on around here. What's the next step? What is a council? What part has the council played in this? Can you mention that?
Well, I think Jason mentioned that we've done. It goes back to 2014. We want to take our time on it. We want to get the input from not only the businesses that are affected downtown, but also the citizens within North St. Paul. And by doing that, we've done some surveys.
What was the response on the surveys? How was it?
We had a really good response on the surveys, and we didn't necessarily ask where people were from. We did try to get an idea if people were residents or business owners or just had a general interest in the community when they filled out the survey. But it was interesting to see kind of what the aspirations that people had for downtown and the different features that people would like to see. It was called a visual preference survey, so it was about what do sidewalks look like and what type of planting features do people want to see and what do they want to see for streets and those sorts of things. So it was a great opportunity to really kind of get the feedback from people, and a lot of the stuff that we got through that is a lot of the same things that we've heard from other people, throughout this ongoing conversation that we've had. And the one thing that Terry mentioned to reiterate on is that we're trying to take our time in doing this. We have a lot of moving parts and factors associated with it. Not only do we have to deal with when we do the work down here at some point in the future, how does it affect the car show? We don't want the car show to be affected, but we want to be able to figure out how we can work around those other pieces. What's the impacts to the businesses and how do people get around downtown? So there's a lot of moving pieces, so we're really trying to take our due diligence and time to listen and figure all these pieces out, so when we, at some point when some work does start to occur, that we've taken the time to listen and make sure we're offsetting some of those pieces.
And we want to make sure the businesses are all on board too, because they're going to be affected by it. And
I can see where businesses would say, "Well, that's fine, but how much is that going to cost me?"
Right.
That's a big factor, and not every business is making a lot of money. So,
and that's that's the hard part.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Sure it is.
I don't know if you want to talk about the downtown master plan that we've been talking about at all, as it relates to that study and trying to get a feel for what
I think it all ties in. It all ties into the master plan and what we've been kind of moving ahead with the survey and all that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So the council's been talking about doing a downtown master plan, and so part of the idea behind that is kind of get an idea of what it could look like, taking all the input that we've received, and then throughout that process identify kind of the low-hanging fruit of things that we probably can do now without a lot of significant impacts, but we can start addressing some of those long-term needs that maybe people are thinking of as it relates to the downtown area as well.
I know that we've had a downtown design manual for a number of years now, and part of the project I think involved the revision of the design manual. Can you mention that or talk about that a little bit?
I think you were on the.
I was.
We should ask you.
I have a vested interest in that project, but I'm just curious. I haven't really heard lately what has been happening, but I know that there was need for revision.
Well, I think part of that is the goal is that we're trying to tie the update to the downtown design manual, which really kind of focuses on the buildings, and the downtown master plan and the work on the revitalization part, which is tied to kind of the street improvements, the walking areas, the plantings, to make sure that those two documents work together and that they're tied together. And so I think the plan is over the next about 6 months is to kind of work on that downtown master plan, and once that kind of gets put together, the ability will be able to complete that downtown design manual as well.
I know when we started the design manual, it was a difficult thing for people to get used to. A lot of people would come in and they say, "We never had to do this before. Why do we have to look at the design manual? We just did whatever we wanted to before." So that's hard to get used to.
And people don't understand when you have a plan in place, you try to follow it. So that you do have standards and that type of thing.
And it can take years to implement a plan, and the idea behind some of this is really to try to preserve what downtown is all about. To preserve that kind of both the past and the future together.
And we still get the comments from people saying, "I wish it could be like it used to be." But that, of course, is not practical nowadays. Too many things have changed.
And speaking of that's a low impact, but it could have a high impact for the downtown area as well.
We have a lot here that's right in our main downtown, you know, the old City Hall site, and EDA is looking at trying to make it a little more presentable.
Right.
And so we're looking at either putting a parking lot. I don't know, can we talk details about it? Or,
Sure.
So we're looking at a parking lot with possible park-like setting on the one side with some trees and maybe some picnic tables and that type of thing. But we're looking at staging a parking lot that could help with the parking downtown here.
Sure.
And then try to put a little better view to this lot here.
Right. That would definitely be an improvement.
Yes.
It'd be nice to have some businesses come in and possible housing, but that hasn't been easy.
No. And that's the challenge.
Sure.
You know, and so the EDA, which was formed just a few years ago,
Right.
you know, we're taking baby steps, and it takes a long time for them to really start working the system or whatever you call it. It's a long haul.
Yeah.
But I think as a tool, the EDA is a good thing for the city.
Sure. I think I agree. I've seen some progress in that line, and actual formal attempts to get somebody to come in and makes a big difference to it. And I think there's been some success with that, so that's good. Anything else concerning that we should mention that you didn't touch on, or how about a finishing time? Is there any goal that's set as to when this whole thing wraps up?
Well, I got to mention first that Sarah Soraka, she's the one that kind of started this whole thing. She started it a few years ago with a Facebook page to try to get the residents, you know, involved.
Right.
And from that, then it turned into more of a city issue. Now we got the public's input. Now we're trying to get the businesses' input and put it all together. And it's going to be a slow process.
Right. And
you know, we don't want to do it, jump into it and redo the whole downtown. And
I think we've tried to learn what other cities that have downtowns have done and the lessons that they've learned. You know, Anoka and Osseo and Hopkins.
you did have a tour out
We
there.
we did have a group of people that did take a tour. We actually had officials from and a business owner from Hopkins that came in and talked to a group of the council and business owners and other people that were interested in learning more about what they did and how they navigated. So we've also been trying to learn from others and what they did and how they've been successful and some of the failures that they've had along the way as well. But it is going to be a process. It's the age-old question of how much is it going to cost and when's the work going to begin and those sorts of things. And you know, we're several years out from any work beginning, but we're trying to get up to a point where we can start making some decisions as to when something could happen and when people can start seeing things. Because in addition to people wanting to know when something's going to happen, they also want to know when's it going to be completed and what's it going to look like, so we can start enjoying it as well.
Or how much will this inconvenience me?
That's the other piece.
that's the other piece.
It's always a problem. So,
And it's fun hearing from other cities who have gone through it, because it is a big inconvenience for the businesses. But at the end result was a very positive for the businesses and for the city.
that's right. Yeah. Well, it's an important project, I think, and as it was mentioned, I think North St. Paul is unique in
As a downtown.
suburbs to have a downtown already built. And you don't have to create one that doesn't always look like a real downtown.
And people love it.
I think so.
Yeah, look at all the people.
Yeah, that's right.
People love it. So
That's great. Appreciate you gentlemen coming in and talking about the program. And I think we'll probably be following up with other programs just to keep track of what you're doing and see what kind of progress you make. So.
And we do appreciate you having us on to talk about the project, because it is one of the questions we tend to get a lot about is what's going on with this conversation and where are things at and where are things going. So hopefully people get a little bit more informed on this, and certainly contact me or contact Terry, any of the council members with opinions on it, because you know we've tried to make this a public engaged process and we're trying to listen to make sure we do it right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We're out of time on this month's show. Join us again next month when we'll bring you more news about North St. Paul. I'm Paul Anderson, speaking for everyone at the City of North St. Paul. Thank you for watching.